Here are the top stories for today, February 18, 2022. The Commission on Election is unfazed by critics hitting back at its Oplan Baklas crackdown and urges them to file complaints. Police officers are reminded they do not have the authority to take down campaign materials. Longing to take off those face masks? Not so fast as for the Department of Health, as it maintains that the mask mandate is the last to go among minimum health protocols amid declining COVID-19 infections. The government is expected to beef up vaccination among children aged 5 to 11 as more reformulated Pfizer jobs arrive in the country. And more workers are leaving their work amid the pandemic, while some prefer hybrid work arrangements across various industries, based on a recent study. Good day, I'm Marita Muahe. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Cabinet Secretary and Acting Presidential Spokesperson Carlo Nograles asserts the independence of the Commission on Elections pertaining to all the election-related activities during the campaign period. This amid backlash at Comelec's Oplan Baklas, or taking down campaign tarpaulins and posters even on private property. Comelec stood firm that its crackdown on illegally placed campaign materials is based on rules approved by the election officers. In a press briefing today, Nograles said all election-related activities are within the jurisdiction of the poll body.
Comelec, we have to understand, is an independent constitutional body, no? And we have to respect the independence of Comelec, especially so dahil election period ngayon. So we respect the independence of Comelec as an independent constitutional body. Yung meron po mga grievances, meron po sila mga legal recourse that they can also explore. But as far as we are concerned, we must respect the independence of Comelec.
The viral photos of police officers taking down campaign materials in Etiaga, Isabela have reached Camp Crame and are now under investigation. PNP spokesperson Colonel Jean Fajardo said their immediate supervisors will be asked to explain. In a radio interview, Fajardo clarifies that all police officers should not be involved in the removal of illegally placed campaign materials and posters, which are the subject of the Oplan Baklas of the Commission on Elections. She said the Philippine National Police has a clear rule that its function is only limited to providing security assistance to members of the task force. Meanwhile, Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez says anyone is free to file a complaint regarding their crackdown on illegally placed campaign materials. Jimenez says they are taking steps to make sure that our laws are being complied with. Based on Comelec rules, common poster areas are located in public places such as plazas, markets, barangay centers, and other areas with heavy pedestrian or vehicular traffic in the city or municipality as approved by the election officers. Posters and tarpaulins may be posted in private properties provided that the posting has the consent of the owner. Meanwhile, Partido Reforma standard-bearer Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson and running mate Senate President Vicente Tito Soto III said the Comelec should clarify its rules on campaign posters. They also urged the poll body to have more practical and realistic regulations in the run-up to the May 9 national elections. In their regular Meet the Press forum yesterday, the Lacson-Soto tandem particularly asked Comelec to explain its guidelines on the size of campaign posters and their placement inside private property. Although Comelec said it would take down some posters and billboards inside homes or on private properties posted with the permission of their owners, Lacson said it could present an issue against the rights of the citizens who merely want to express their support for a particular candidate. The government intends to continue the counterinsurgency barangay development program even amid this year's national and local polls. Monico Batle, director of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflicts, said the Anti-Insurgency Task Force has sought exemption from the ban on public spending as stipulated in Comelec Resolution number 10747. Baklas said the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte is already preparing for the sustainability of the anti-insurgency projects and programs, even if the new government takes over after June 30 this year. He said tasking for the BDP is already in place, which will be carried out by the Department of the Interior and local government. Under the BDP program, each barangay is entitled to 20 million pesos worth of farm-to-market roads, classrooms, water and sanitation systems, health stations, and livelihood projects. Families of missing cockfight enthusiasts get a glimpse of hope as the government orders a probe on their whereabouts. This as the Senate is slated to tackle their plight next week. Since last month, close to 30 individuals have reportedly gone missing in groups in separate incidents. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, chairperson of the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, said he is planning to conduct an inquiry as part of his committee's oversight function over certain government agencies. For his part, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara orders the National Bureau of Investigation to thoroughly look into their case and submit its findings within 10 days. Still ahead, the Health Department maintains that the face mask mandate is unlikely to be lifted anytime soon. And heads up Wanderlust, an ASEAN neighbor, is opening again to fully vaccinated Filipinos by next month. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Nais mo bang bumalik at magsimula ng panibagong buhay sa inyong probinsya? May solusyon dyan. Bisitahin ang balikprobinsya.ph upang mag-apply. Pero ano nga ba ang Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program o mas kilala bilang BP2? Ang programang ito ay binuo ng gobyerno mula sa EO 114 na naglalayong matugunan ang lumulobong populasyon at pagsikip ng mga residential area sa NCR. Layunin rin ng BP2 na makapagbigay ng pantay na oportunidad sa mga Pilipinong magbabalik probinsya. Ligtas at libre kang makakabalik sa inyong probinsya sa tulong ng BP2. May kasama pang tulong pinansyal at oportunidad para makapagsimula ng pangkabuhayan. Bagong pag-asa ang hatid ng Balik Probinsya program. Kaya naman ano pang hinihintay mo? Mag-register na sa balikprobinsya.ph.
The country's face mask mandate would remain even with the decreasing COVID-19 cases. In a radio interview, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said the mandate is unlikely to be lifted anytime soon, especially with the election campaign season. He said this is to ensure that the minimum public health standards will be complied with to prevent any spike from happening. While the Philippines is already past the recent Omicron surge, Duque said it is better to err on the side of caution. Meanwhile, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said the removal of the mandatory masking will only be possible if the disease becomes endemic and the country's cases becomes manageable. She said the government continues to prepare the country as it slowly transitions into the new normal. For his part, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. of the National Task Force Against COVID-19 said the face mask requirement will remain in the country until COVID-19 is totally eliminated. Galvez also reminded the public to avoid crowded places, especially during election campaign rallies. As the world is seeing a decline in the number of COVID-19 cases, the World Health Organization says it is not yet time to become complacent. Citing reports from last week, WHO technical lead on COVID-19, Maria Van Kerkhove, said the 75,000 COVID-19 deaths last week is an underestimate, as this is likely caused by a decline in COVID-19 testing rates. The WHO urges government to improve vaccination and testing rates, noting that several countries are planning to relax their COVID-19 restrictions in the coming weeks. It also reminds government leaders not to change their isolation requirements, especially among those who tested positive on COVID-19. Nearly 329,000 children aged 5 to 11 years old have been vaccinated against COVID-19 as of February 17. The Department of Health said only 8 cases reported non-serious adverse events, which includes rashes, pain in the injection site, fever, vomiting, and itchy throat. Health Undersecretary Mirna Cabutahe, however, said the phase of inoculation would still depend on the supply of Pfizer-BioNTech doses, the only vaccine given an emergency use authorization for the age group. She assured that more doses will arrive in the following weeks. This February alone, the country expects to receive a total of 5 million doses of jabs and another 5 million by next month. Cabutahe said Filipino experts are also studying the possible vaccination of children aged 4 and below. The country has so far inoculated over 61 million people since the national vaccination campaign was launched in March 2021. Another batch of Pfizer coronavirus vaccine arrived at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport last night. The government-procured Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is intended to boost the ongoing vaccination drive for adults. National Task Force Against COVID-19 consultant Maria Paz Corrales personally witnessed the arrival of the 455,130 doses of the jabs. She thanked the U.S. government for its help in facilitating the delivery of vaccines as well as the World Bank for its financial assistance. To date, over 2.6 million or more than half of the target 5 million shots have so far been given during the 3rd Bayanihan Bakunahan National Vaccination Drive that began on February 10. As for the pediatric vaccination program, Corrales reported that 263,000 doses of the reformulated Pfizer vaccine have already been given to minors aged 5 to 11, and about 65% of the target younger population 12 to 17 years old are now fully vaccinated. Corrales urged parents to have their children inoculated against COVID-19 as we prepare for face-to-face classes and the reopening of the economy. For those planning a visit to Singapore this summer, Filipinos fully vaccinated against COVID-19 will be allowed entry to Singapore starting March 4. This was after the city-state included the Philippines in its vaccinated travel lane program, which allows passengers to enter Singapore quarantine-free via designated VTL flights. Vaccine travel pass applications for the Philippines will open on March 1. The Singaporean Ministry of Transport said it is also launching VTLs with Israel and Hong Kong and deepening existing VTLs with Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. The new Singaporean policy for Filipinos comes less than a week since the Philippines reopened its doors to fully vaccinated foreign tourists. The City Health Office of Cagayan de Oro has intensified the monitoring of the first-generation close contacts of the second batch of people infected with the Omicron variant of COVID-19. CHO Medical Officer Dr. Ted Yu Jr. said they have identified 121 first-generation close contacts of the recently reported 32 Omicron cases in the city. Yu said none of the close contacts as of the moment are experiencing acute respiratory illnesses or influenza-like illnesses. Mayor Oscar Moreno stressed the need for intensive monitoring of close contacts even if it has been more than a month since they got infected. On Tuesday, the city government reported 32 new detected Omicron cases that included 31 local cases and 1 returning overseas Filipino. The 18 first-generation close contacts of the first 7 Omicron patients tested positive for COVID-19 but with the said variant. The Department of Agriculture is inviting foreign investors to look for opportunities in the country's agriculture and fisheries sector. DA spokesperson Noel Reyes said the agency is particularly looking at tuna exports as the country already exports high-quality fish from General Santos City to other parts of the world. Agriculture Secretary William Dar participated at the 5-day Gulf Food Hotel and Equipment Exhibition and Salon Culinaire at the United Arab Emirates to promote the country's agricultural products. Dar said there is a wealth of investment opportunities in the sustainable management of tuna, as well as the construction of post-harvest and processing facilities for local fisheries. Dar also bannered Philippine fruit crops such as Carabao mango, pineapple, and banana. The DA has already bagged a deal with Baladna Qatar Public Shareholding Company for the establishment of a 500 million integrated dairy facility in the country. Up next, at least 60 are dead in Brazil as heavy rains continue to drench the South American nation. And more workers quit work while several others prefer hybrid arrangements amid the pandemic. More stories when the PNA Newsroom returns. The Israel Embassy in Manila is monitoring suspected movements by Palestinian militant group Hamas against Israeli nationals in the Philippines. The Philippine National Police said it uncovered a plan to recruit subordinates to attack and kill Jews in the country, conduct rallies, and spread propaganda against Israel. The information reportedly came from a local contact approached by a certain Fares al-Shikli, who the PNP alleged as the Hamas Foreign Liaison Section head. The embassy has lauded the PNP's response, saying it will look into the matter. Hamas has meanwhile denied the supposed plot, saying it has committed to limit its conflict with Israel within the occupied Palestinian territories and not to transfer it to any Arab or foreign lands. The Philippine Rice Research Institute is the latest agency to send assistance to victims of Typhoon Odette, as families in Negros Occidental receiving about 7 tons of rice as food aid. The Philippine Rice Research Institute Negros Station in Murcia Town has donated some 7.6 tons of milled rice to the provincial government of Negros Occidental for victims of Typhoon Odette. The rice supply will be distributed to the affected local government units in southern Negros, including Candoni Town, which received relief goods on Thursday. The province continues to hold relief operations every week in typhoon-affected local government units, Velez said. In Bacolod City, the city government has released more than 12 million pesos in additional financial assistance to Typhoon Odette hit residents in the past 2 days. Over 3,200 beneficiaries from 51 barangays received the cash aid worth 2,000 pesos to 5,000 pesos each. On the first week of February, the city government also distributed more than 28 million pesos in cash aid to typhoon-hit residents. In southern Leyte, Typhoon Odette's victims have been receiving ready-to-use therapeutic food or RUTF to curb acute malnutrition arising from scarcity of nutritious food after the disaster. The National Nutrition Council said RUTF commodities have been provided in Maasin City and all 18 towns in the province. For children suffering a moderate acute malnutrition, a family gets a sachet for 90 days, and for those with severe acute malnutrition, 2 sachets are provided for 3 months. Police in Negros Oriental are looking into the involvement of the New People's Army in the killing of the husband and son of a village chairperson in Valle Hermoso town. On Wednesday evening, 4 unidentified armed men barged into the residence of the Barangay Malangsay Chief Beatriz Perater and shot Lucio, the husband, and their son Tony in her presence. Lieutenant Colonel Ruben Verbo Jr. of the Negros Oriental Provincial Police Office said that the planned establishment of an army detachment in the area might have prompted the rebels to stage the attack. He said the village chief recently participated in the survey of a piece of land to be used by the 62nd Infantry Battalion. The police in Negros Oriental denounced the Valle Hermosa shooting incident on its Facebook page. In news overseas, at least 67 were reported dead after heavy rains hit Petropolis in the Brazilian state of Rio de Janeiro. The death toll from floods and landslides includes 22 men, 37 women, and 8 children. 54 houses were destroyed and 370 people are being housed in shelters. Also, 400 firefighters are participating in search and rescue efforts in the region. Authorities on Tuesday said that Petropolis saw precipitation in 6 hours for the entire month of February. Back in 2021, more than 900 people died in a flooding tragedy in the city and more than 100 people went missing. More Filipinos have chosen to do hybrid work or working at home and in office amid the pandemic, while a growing number of workers choose instead to leave their jobs. In a study done by local software as a service firm Sprout Solutions, the Philippines posted a 2.27% voluntary attrition in 2021 from 1.31% a year earlier. This means a 176% increase in voluntary resignation across all industries. The abrupt changes in the working scheme, lack of work-life balance, and the uncertainty over the pandemic were among the reasons why workers opted to quit. Other respondents are more concerned about the virus and their health. Sprout also said 47% of in-office work leaders want to adopt the hybrid work model, and 62% see hybrid or remote work as the dominant model in the future. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The Commission on Election is unfazed by critics hitting back at its Oplan Baklas crackdown and urges them to file complaints. Police officers are reminded they do not have the authority to take down campaign materials. Longing to take off those face masks? Not so fast as for the Department of Health, as it maintains that the mask mandate is the last to go among minimum health protocols amid declining COVID-19 infections. The government is expected to beef up vaccination among children aged 5 to 11 as more reformulated Pfizer jobs arrive in the country. And more workers are leaving their work amid the pandemic, while some prefer hybrid work arrangements across various industries, based on a recent study. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields. Wash your hands often. Practice safe physical distancing. go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. You may also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Have a good day.